Hello friends. Welcome. Today we will recap 2022 drama action film, The Takeover. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. The movie starts at a Dutch military base. A hacker named Buddy arrives at the base. The base is the cybersecurity office. Every Wednesday, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a particular set of miscreants hack the base's servers and computers, posing a severe security risk. The authorities appoint Buddy, because he is the most skilled ethical hacker in the area, to stop such a threat. To determine the specific location of the criminals, the expert sorts through the data and codes that were present at the time of the intrusion. The military initially believed the cyber attacks were being carried out by North Korean or Russian adversaries. But, Buddy finds the exact location from where the cyber attack is happening. Military raids the place, and Buddy goes with the authorities. It turns out to be the hacker is Mel Bandison, a single adolescent girl. When Mel knows about Buddy, she becomes happy and surprised as the hacker was someone she had always liked and looked up to. After receiving severe warnings, Mel admits that she had been hacking the military base only because she believed that military actions were detrimental to the environment. The movie then moves forward 10 years later. At the age of 26, Mel Bandison works as an ethical hacker for a security firm that examines and approves safety certificates for any new software that is made available to the general public. She travels to Rotterdam as part of her profession to see Rotramax, a business that has developed a revolutionary self-driving and self-guiding bus that will soon be made available on public roads. Mel examines the data codes, and discovers an abnormality in the form of a data breach code that is not meant to be there. After consulting with her boss, she decides to send a Trojan horse virus the other way to stop the breach. In the process, she breaks into the criminals' computers and causes them to display a middle finger on the screens, which has always been her preferred style. Later that night she goes to date where she meets Thomas. He orders Chinese takeout food that surprises Mel. Thomas dips the spring roll in the soup, which turns off Mel. She pretends to get an emergency call, and leaves quickly, leaving Thomas surprised. She practices kickboxing when receives a message about hacking a company that night. She hacks a company website with her friends. Suddenly, she gets a front door warning and hides in a closet. Two men with guns and a picture of Mel with them burst into her home, and she manages to flee. The men chase her, but she is able to escape. They call the boss named Roger to tell the news, who ask them to find her. Roger then calls his other gang members and asks them to start the preparation. These members create a face of Mel on computer. At the police station, Mel meets the chief of police, Dries Daoudi. Dries asks her if she knows what the attackers wanted. He tells her that they will get back to her if they find anything. Suddenly, she sees the two attackers at the police station who had broken into her home, and they seems very familiar to the police. That indicating either they worked closely with the police or were police officers who also collaborated with hackers. Realizing that something is wrong, she makes a run. She receives a text message from Thomas, who asks her to pay $11.8 for the Chinese dinner. At the same time, the criminals get a message about her possible location. Mel goes to Thomas's place and asks if she can hide at his place. He agrees when she tells him that two men are following her. Suddenly, both men arrives, and start shooting. Mel and Thomas start running. Mel realizes that they are tracking her phone, so she gets rid of it. Thomas asks her to get help from police, and she tells about what happened at the police station. They go to cafe, where Mel asks for his help. Thomas tells her that he barely knows her and he has nothing to do with her. At the same time, news starts to flash on TV about an incident of shocking violence in the center of city. Her face is on TV, showing someone who resembles Mel is seen firing gun and killing a guy in Rotterdam. Thomas now realizes that something is wrong and asks her to follow him. They both run and go an old closed bar. They both starts working on the plan. She video calls her hacker friends. She tells them about her last project of self-driving bus. They suggest her to talk to Buddy. To which she says, she doesn't want to work with Buddy. In the meantime, Daoudi investigates the murder and learns that the dead man, Reggie, was also an hacker with criminal records. Daoudi and his associate go to talk to Mel's employer, who tells them Mel was working on a minor software bug. But she is definitely hiding something. Thomas receives a call from Roger on his cell phone, who tells him that he wants to talk to Mel. He tells Mel that his client has some trouble since Mel dropped the Trojan horse. He also mentioned that he is the one who made the movie clip of her killing the guy. Roger asks her to give them the encryption, otherwise they will be killed. Mel realizes immediately that if she doesn't get rid of the bogus film, she will undoubtedly be caught by the police and she won't be able to escape this situation. But because accessing this film and learning more about it actually go beyond her technical capabilities, she now decides to get in touch with her former master, Buddy, after a long period of separation. Mel and Thomas go to a very remote area on a motorbike. They wait for Buddy. Suddenly, Buddy shows up in his truck. They drive off together. She and Thomas are taken to his safe house on the Belgian-Dutch border, where he begins researching the expertly produced deep-fake film and its enigmatic origins. While Buddy works on his computer to figure out the conspiracy, Thomas tries to calm down Mel. They listen romantic music and it's clear that they are falling for each other. Mel is surprised as a larger picture of the plot begins to take shape as Buddy unearths additional facts. A software company called Xiaoming, a Chinese multinational with a good reputation, had been conducting business with the self-driving bus startup Rotramax. Although Xiaoming also had stakes in other European businesses, nobody knew that the company was actually deploying a data mining tool in these businesses' software. In the instance of the Rotramax bus, the cameras installed on the vehicle were designed to gather facial data from every passenger and compare it to police and other safety records to ensure that neither the self-driving car nor its occupants would ever be in any danger. However, Xiaoming and its network of cybercriminals had been gathering this facial data, comparing it with other databases like those containing health and legal records, as well as hacking into people's home security cameras and cell phones, in order to sell the entire data package to the Chinese government. The hackers planned to directly attack Mel and destroy her because she had abruptly and untimely stopped the entire scheme with her encrypted Trojan horse virus. Mel immediately alerts police officer Daoudi to this incredibly risky invasion of privacy. She tells him about Roger and that her video is fake, but the officer won't stop the police search for Mel. However, the dishonest hackers find her and Buddy in the meanwhile and choose to visit them. Mel becomes convinced that the Rotramax bus cameras, which had scanned her face when she had gone for the inspection, were the only way the hackers could have obtained such a clear picture of her face. As she is preparing to leave the safe home, the hackers break in. She chooses to go back to Rotterdam to get this footage of her face from the Rotramax databank. These assailants, led by Rogers, are directly working for Xiaoming to bring Mel down, but she manages to flee with Thomas just in time. And Rogers ends up killing Buddy. Thomas and Mel get away in Buddy's truck while Roger and his men follow them. Eventually, Roger's car gets stuck in mud, and Mel and Thomas escape. Mel appears very distressed and Thomas makes a call to Daoudi. He is angry that Mel is only thinking about her, while he is already involved in this too. Mel leaves him and run away before police shows up and arrest Thomas. The CEO of Rotramax is talking about the self-driving bus, while Mel dashes to the Rotramax facility and enters the server room. In the meantime, Thomas tries to convince Daoudi to intervene and arrest Roger, but he doesn't believe Thomas. But, when Daoudi gets the news about Buddy's death and believe him, Rogers once more intervenes to prevent Mel from obtaining her video in the server room. Coincidentally, the first public trial of the self-driving Rotramax bus had also taken place on this momentous day. Back at the police station, nobody is paying attention at Thomas, so he quietly takes the key and leaves. Mel manages to avoid being killed using her hacking skills to switch off all the lights in the room. She runs for safety while Roger chases her. She gets holds on Roger's gun and points at him. They both fight, and she runs away from him. Rogers sets fire to the Rotramax servers because he is aware that the computers contain evidence of data breaches that could easily implicate his clients at Xiaoming. Rogers and Mel are both taken into custody by Daoudi and his police team, who show very quickly. Mel now makes her case once more and requests a single opportunity to prove herself. Daoud is persuaded, so they proceed into the server room to extinguish the fire before Mel checks the data codes. The bus had lost all control once the servers were set on fire and was now speeding forward along its predetermined route, slamming any other vehicles or obstacles that were in its path. Mel takes advantage of this chance to advance her cause by pledging to access the bus's software and take control of it. While Mel works with her 2 hacker friends on the case and also receives help from Thomas, the hackers at Xiaoming hack open the Erasmus Bridge, which falls in the predetermined course of the bus. Thomas drives Buddy's car and able to enter in the bus. He attached the receiver to bus's control. Mel brings the bus under control and stops it right before it is about to make a plunge into the river. She shows Daoud the real video of a different man committing the murder and explains to him how her face had been planted on the man's body in the video. In the next scene, Mel is in a cafe and receives a final video message from Buddy, who says he kept all the money and built a network for her and he is proud of her. In the final scene, Mel shows her affection towards Thomas and they both start running together. The end.